All right, there's been a lot of talk about Tiger's chipping and how he's trying to change it to match his golf swing instead of just keeping it the same. A lot of people feel like he shouldn't have ever touched it. He was the best ever, and maybe that's because it matched his full swing, and now it's his full swing's changing. And if he left his chipping, the feelings would be too different. So there's a lot of controversy there, what he should be doing and how he should be doing it. But I just kind of wanted to look at and break down a couple actions here. We'll look at it from a few different angles and a few different eras. So on the left side, we have 2000. So he was fairly young, but that's when he was playing probably some of his best golf. And then we have 2012 over here on the right. So these two shots are slightly different. One he may be trying to hit a little bit higher, and one he may be trying to hit a little bit lower. But the first thing you can see is the difference in posture here. If we look at his 2000 motion, you can see he's standing a little bit taller, um, and now he's a little bit more bent over in the golf shot. I mean, the whole 10 degrees more bent over. Got a lot more roll. His hands are sitting lower, and has a lot more angle in his wrist here. If we can look at that even from his shoulder angle, 147. And these are both going to be a sandwich. The lie angle shouldn't have changed a whole lot, so 151. So um, a lot has changed in the posture itself, which is going to create a different motion. So if we play the 2000 motion here, you can see the club's kind of up and slightly more outside his hands, a lot more width in his takeaway. And then in his, we'll call it closer to current technique here, we'll be able to see a big difference in his takeaway versus where it once was. You can see it's kind of going back more up the shaft plane instead of outside the line. Not as much width in the arm swing. Hands are staying closer to him, kind of hooding it a little bit. And, that's just all creating a very narrow arm swing with a sharp leading edge. And what I feel is just introducing a lot of leading edge and not using what they call the bounce, not using the bottom, the sole of the club, and letting it kind of skip off the turf. So you can see it's still outside his hands, but you can see the different position in his hands. Over here in his old motion, his hands are kind of outside his toe line or on his toe line. And then here, they've been sucked kind of inside, I'm going to call it, and they're kind of going over the balls, the sole of his, foot here, over the laces more. So a lot narrower leading edge. And I think, and the rigidness, he's just a lot more rigid and stiffer. And now you can see the club, it drops and it's getting steeper, 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 steeper coming into the golf ball. So his bottom's got to be a lot more precise with this new motion, and trying to change that contact from where it was before. And you can see now on this side, that club's really going to deflect and go up and have to be held off. His hands are super left and narrow again, and the head is up and to the outside. And we're going to see some of that with the 2000 motion, but you can see the head is traveling left, his hands are traveling left, and then the head's going to kind of stay and hold up a little bit. So there's still some of that hinge and hold kind of on the follow through, but it seems to be a lot more dramatic now than it was in the past. So then if we even just kind of go up to 2012 motion here, we're going to see some of the same. Still really bent over the golf ball. A lot more shoulder roll. Yep, 10 degrees more bent over. A lot more angle in his hands. Just like we were before. And I just think this is creating a lot of his issues and having causing him to be narrow. His hands are low, so he's rigid. It's got to go inside more, so we can see this one kind of goes out a little bit more. But his hands are just still so low and steep in there, you can see how hard he hits the ground with the leading edge, and the club really deflects and gets this huge angle in there. So right there, you know, he's 123-degree angle or so. Let's go back to where he was at address again. So that's just a big change, and you can see how violent. I mean, look at the change in that angle from address to just after impact. So, I mean, that's just a sharp dig in there. You can see how much turf he took, kind of caught. I don't know where the shot ended up, but just a lot of leading edge. And I think it's just from his posture. I think if he stood a little taller, got his hands up a little bit more, he can use that sole of the club a lot better. Let's see here. Let's go to some face on. So this is 09, and then this is just from yesterday's round, Waste Management. So slightly different camera angle, so we're going to have some of that going on. But you can see here his first move, increase at angle, but kind of supinate left wrist, and you can see it's just kind of churned down, really narrow again. Kind of the same motion, just narrow, narrow, narrow. Getting upright and kind of hold. Now he's got to jerk his body out of it because of posture. And here you can see he tries to jerk it, but it's just too late. And that's what he's talking about. He doesn't know where the bottom is because he's changing everything. So I think it's just a small little posture adjustment. Getting the hands a little higher at address so there's room. We don't have to get this handle working from this low point up. See how fast his hands go up? They need to be going up earlier. So if they started in an upper position earlier, I think he'd be better off than where he is currently. And we see that over in this other one here too. Same kind of motion. We can even look at this is 2010 at Torrey Pines. Hands, you can see he's a little bit wider on this one. Hands, and they start to work up a little bit earlier, and it's not as rigid. So this is, you know, was a slightly better motion here. You can see it doesn't grab the turf as much, a little smoother, a little fuller release. Body doesn't have to jerk up, as we're seeing over in some of these other ones. See how the body kind of jerks up, the left shoulder jerks out of the way. So I think just as, from my point of view, this needs to change that posture position just a little bit, and things will get better. I mean, you can see here in this one here, this is kind of zoomed in on his hands. I mean, look how low his hands are. And they stay low, and then he tries to get them. They suck, almost hit him in the leg on the way through. They're really out in front. And it could have been a specialty shot due to lie, but you can just see they're just really low and stiff. I'd like to see him get a little bit taller and just a little bit more natural with his motion nowadays. It's 2014. So once again, I mean, I think this was at the Hero when he was really starting to chunk it. I mean, look at that quick little action here. It's like the leading edge, and then you can see his change in his right wrist. It's just like, boom, owie, it's in the ground, head deflects up into the right. Everything's just too low, too low, too low, and not getting up in the air fast enough. And I think that all could be changed with just the start and the little posture adjustments. So if I was to give him any advice, that's kind of the direction I would go, and make adjustments from there. But that's definitely where I think I would start, is just a little posture adjustment, get him a little taller like he was when he was younger. So just my 2 cents.